right. Think we're up on everything. Yeah, yeah. One, two. Okay. Sorry, a little late this time. Got to have some kind of technical difficulty somewhere along the line. I did a update on the computer before I shut it down yesterday, and I didn't turn it back on all day. So when I turned it on a little while ago, I had to finalize the updates and get all of that done. Let's enable the comments over here. Bear with me a sec. So, hope everybody's had a good week. For me, mine's been consistent. Lots of things to get done. Was taking care of a lot of things, but here we are. You know, another week has passed us by. Like I would tell you guys on the regular, time's not going to wait for you. It just keeps going. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep ticking. What we do with that time, well, that's entirely up to us, right? We can spend it watching TV. We can spend it doing diddly, right? Thanks. I put that up just, that blank wall was driving me crazy, so, that's why I like that picture, so I bought it and I mounted it all on my own. Good job, right? See? Mounted nice, straight, I think. But where was I? Yeah, the things you could do with your time, right? You can sit around and do diddly, right? Well, one of the things you're gonna wanna do at some point in time, eventually, sooner or later, you're gonna have to do it, is identify where you are. Right? We talked about this months ago, in previous chats about taking that step back and kind of looking at where you are. So I was actually having a conversation with somebody this week, and they were asking me about how can you um how do you actually start doing that? So during that conversation, I opened an Excel sheet. We started populating some things, and I thought, you know what, this is a really good exercise that I could share with you guys today. Unfortunately, if you're on Instagram, you're not going to see it because I'm using StreamYard, which, if you want to jump over to the FB Live side, you'll be able to see my screen. You can't see it on Instagram. They don't allow that tool to work there yet. But they said it's in the works, so sooner or later it'll get there. But I'll talk about it, so you're kind of gonna hear it. You're just not going to see what we're talking about. With oops, something happened. Uh, mm, on the screen. No. Okay. All right. So now this is the first time that I'm doing this, but let's see if we can make it work. Where was it? Share. See, I'm learning as I go. If any of you have used StreamYard, I'm always welcome to any tips. Anybody who uh, wants to know about the tool, you can sign up for it and use it free for a bit. Give it a try, see if you like it. If it does, the stuff you want to do, it allows me to put my name in the corner. I can broadcast in multiple places at the same time. I can use it to record the videos. And when I talked about it in a previous session, one of the things I'm going to use it for is for my job to create some training videos for work. But with that, let me jump on the. Let me share the screen. It's easiest with two monitors, but everything's on the TV, so I haven't set up another new monitor yet because the TV stand doesn't have room for it. So I'm actually designing and building a new TV stand So let's see how this works. Wonder what you. Let's go to. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Just bear with me. Share. Got it. Let's go to a window and let's do this. Okay, so I'm hoping that. Oh, that's why it's saying to have another screen because now I can't see. Where is. Right, there we go. So now we can't. I can't see any comments if anything comes in. So I'm just going to talk about it right now while we go there. So let me get back to the screen. So I hope it's big enough for you to see. Let me make it a bit bigger. So we started talking, as I said, on this conversation, and we were looking up some things while going through this. And one of them was, for those of you who don't know, I'm in Canada. So I looked up what the average the average salary is in Canada. Most of you probably don't know. It's 54,000. 54,000, and that is gross. That's not very high with the cost of living out here. So it's kind of important that you do things like this to kind of understand where you are. Now, the values that we put in here are just, numbers that we came up with that seem, upon average for things. And for each person, it's going to be unique, but it's relatively straightforward, right? You want to put your monthly expenses. You're going to take your net income and you're going to subtract that from your monthly expenses. You're going to know what's left. The amount that's left is going to determine, well, how long is it going to take me to do something ahead in the future, whether I'm going to invest it, whether I'm going to buy a house, whether I'm saving up for a trip, whatever the case is. This paycheck to paycheck method, it's not really working in your favor. And the rate that things are going up now, like look at fuel, for example, it's crazy. It's crazy out here. I have people calling me from the US telling me how crazy it is in the US. I say it's even worse in Canada. But doing something like this kind of lets you understand where you are, what you need to do. Are you at the right job? If you're not in the right job, you're working for yourself. Is your business making you enough money? Yes, you're living. Yeah, you're getting by. Yeah, week after week, you're not starving. You're not, you know, but is your situation getting better or are you just coasting? Are you happy just coasting? Is that something you want to do? You kind of got to decide what it is that you want. Adulting, that's what they call it, right? This is a form of adulting, knowing where you are, knowing what your position is. So I'll quickly run through this sheet here. So with the monthly expenses, we went to the fixed things. So these are the things that don't change. They're always the same. They're consistently the same month after month, right? If you look back in your bank statements, stuff like that, it will be consistent. They don't change. Cars, you know. So and we did this based on somebody that's around their mid 30s, right? In your mid 30s, you obviously you want to have certain conveniences like a car being one of them. Uh, Normal situations, you're living on your own or with a partner at that time. And again, we did this based on somebody living alone, mid 30s, making the average, which was 54,000 gross, which is roughly, I think it was a little short of 4,700 net. So that's be the take home. Um, so we went with a car. What happened to my mouse? There we go. All right, car. Car payment average around $300. rent. Average in I'm in Toronto, average price in Toronto with parking is around $1,800. Cell phone bill, people don't have house phones anymore. Got to be able to connect with people, families, work, whatever the case is. Internet, that's pretty much mandatory. Everybody wants to have that. Cable. A lot of people don't have cable. Some still do. Some have it for the bundles. I know there's lots of streaming platforms. A lot of people use IPTV, that sort of stuff. But we just put cable in there, just generalizing it. Gym. Most people have a gym membership, whether they're using it or not. Doesn't mean that it's not there. Constantly coming out month after month. You've completely just forgotten about it. You're oblivious. It just happens. If you're renting in Toronto, most places you require renter's insurance. So that has to be tacked on there as well. And one of the things that we forgot to mention in that conversation was banking fees. Now, I used that person's true number was $30. $30 a month in banking fees. That's absolutely ridiculous. How do you pay $30 in banking fees? And then we had an entire conversation about, well, what bank are you with? Why do you have those banking fees? And it came down to, well, because of all of the debit purchasing to have unlimited transactions. So, and that's a different method of how you need to manage the money. This is just kind of looking at where you are. At the end of that conversation, my suggestion was, why don't you go to one of the banks that have zero monthly fees? I mean, you save back that $360 a year. That $30 you're paying on banking fees, if you move banks to one that doesn't have those fees, you can take that $30 a month and invest it in something. Wealth Simple, one of those automated platforms, so you don't really have to do anything. Uh, they're super low risk. You're already not noticing that money go away on a regular. $30, it's something, right? Especially if you're in a position where there's nothing in place right now. It's a starting point. The next thing was public transportation. Now, some people that's going to be based on where they work. That's going to be based on where they live. A lot of people that live in the downtown core, they don't have cars. They just take transit around. Your streaming subscriptions. I averaged that at $100, but in talking to more people throughout the week, that can easily jump up to more like $200 between your Spotify's, your YouTube subscriptions, your Netflix, your IPTV, your all the different platforms that come up when talking about it. But I just averaged that at 100. Right then and there, we'll sum that up to those total fixed expenses. It's 28.50. Now, if the pay, we'll go with the 4,700 as the net amount, right? I think it was 46 and change. So if we did that 4,700 divided by two, because you're going to get paid two times a month, it's 23.50. Your fixed expenses are more than one paycheck every month, and you haven't eaten yet. So something's not necessarily working in your favor, and it's constantly going to be a struggle, right? But you need to be able to do this exercise, look at it and understand it and be like, well, if and one of the rules you want to try to get to is make one of those two paychecks able for you to live off of for the month. And the other one, take and put it aside to whatever it is you have, whatever you want to do in the future. If you want to save up for some sort of venture, uh, whatever it would be. That's the ideal place. Now I understand looking at this that That's virtually impossible to do. But that is a goal. That's something to strive to get to, which means that you need to add more income sources, change your job, get another job, start an online business, uh, sell all the stuff lying around your house that you don't touch, uh, do something to start generating some more income so you're able to do that. Let's jump down to the variable expenses here. And let me just jump over to the other set of comments here. See if anybody is saying they can't see it. So, okay, we're good. Let me go back here. Definitely going to have to add another screen before I do this again. But your variables, utilities, you need to have light, you need to have heat, you need to have water, right? Bathing is a good thing. As I said, you got to eat groceries. I mean, I averaged it at around $400 a month. I don't know if that's good or bad. Different people, different food requirements, that can vary. Uh, some people can live off less, some people might need more. Just estimated at about $100 a week based on eating 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffees, snacks in between for a single person. Um, Entertain yourself, alcohol, cigarettes, something. We estimated that again, wine, whatever it might be, beer. We put that down at $50 a week, so 200 for the month. Personal maintenance, uh, nails, um, eyelashes, eyebrows, pedicures, whatever it is, some sort of personal maintenance. I have dog, so I added the pet portions in pet food. So mm, Lex Lex eats more than that, but she's a bigger dog, and I just used $100 as an average amount in pet food. Pet grooming, if you don't do it yourself, sometimes you have to take the dog to get whatever the animal is to get some sort of maintenance done, some grooming there. Fuel, fuel can vary because you have a car, you need to put fuel in it, and that can vary based on are you working remotely? Do you have to drive to the office every day? Does your job require you to drive further? So again, we estimated that on average at $400 a month. Now that might be high based on the car. It's just an average number. So don't take it. None of this stuff is in stone. It's just kind of showing you how to understand what goes out. And you can gather all of this information just by looking at your last 3 months of bank statements and categorizing everything. And if you're with the right bank, some of the banks allow you to categorize things um, in their system when you look online. So it helps with the reporting. Lots of different methods. Different banks offer different things. You want to find different ways to better manage that, to understand it, to be able to see it consistently. You know, y- if you don't look at this stuff, you kind of don't know what's going on. You just know that you're getting by. Time's passing. You're getting by. I added Uber, Lyft, rideshare services, and that was for, let's say, you're gonna go out once a week to meet your friends for, you know, whatever. Estimated that at $50 round trip, 4 times for the month. There's your $200, and then another $200 in miscellaneous expenses. That could be the movies, going to meet your friends, whatever the case may be. That could be low. All depends on what the lifestyle is. But we summed that up, and that was 1750. So where were we at here? We were at the 2850 plus 1750, 4600. If we made 4700, there's only $100 left. With $100 left, one of the conversations came up to what about the debt? On average, most people 35 have at least 2 credit cards. Some will have personal loans, some still have student loans. Some will have a line of credit. So those are just 5 options that we put in there. With $100 left, how can you distribute that here to make an impact on paying anything, right? We're not even talking about looking at the debt. Looking at the debt is a completely different conversation. This is just looking at what comes in and how does it go out. And are any of these things, are all of these things adding value to your life? Are they helping you reach the version of you that you're trying to get to? Right? Some point in time, there's struggles. People struggle all the time. People struggle every day, right? But how long you struggle, that starts to become a personal choice. Because are you willing to do what it takes to change, to get out of that, to move away from that struggle? And then let me scroll down. What is up with my mouse? My mouse is having some sort of attack. I think I have a new desk here. I think it might be the desk. Use the back of a notepad. There we go. Nice to haves. An emergency fund. Anybody ever heard of an emergency fund? Let's say something happens to your car. Say 500 bucks. Where are you going to get 500 bucks to fix it? How long is your car going to be down? How are you going to get it fixed? You need to get to work to make money to live this life that we just mapped out, right? If you have a pet insurance. Lex, who's normally in the background, but she's on the other side of the room today. Uh, Last year, out of nowhere, she's as most of you know, she's super healthy. She had a stroke. She had a spinal stroke. This so when she had the stroke, things that were required were CT scans, some other type of scan, blood work, all kinds of examinations. The quick sum up of everything was like around 5 grand. She's insured. I didn't have to pay anywhere near 5 grand. But again, I she's valuable to me. I see the value in having insurance for her. So that's why it's there. And that one time of having to use it, again, perfectly healthy. When that happened to her, she was running around doing her normal stuff, and she just jumped, flipped, started screaming. I freaked out. I don't know what's going on. I thought maybe I don't know. Picked her up, put her in the car, started calling the emergency vets, got her to one for her exam number one. But anyhow, that's the high value in pet insurance. I would always promote pet insurance. Anybody with a pet. And then the last thing is savings or investments. Right? These are all nice things to have, but there aren't necessarily there right now. Right? When we always talked before about the plan, the plan, the plan, the plan. Right? Those things could be part of your plan for the future, for moving ahead, right? You want to have these things in place. And then with the insurance as well, there's insurance for yourself. Are you insured? Do you have insurance for you? Don't you value you to insure yourself? You insure your car because they force you to. So the next stage in the so that's the map of the whole thing. And that was when we got to this value, and this is basic basic, nothing too crazy. These are very common factors. I'm going to say in 95% of the people's lives. These are normal things that exist. Now, this becomes the problem, right? The monthly intake. This is absolutely barely getting by. Now, are you how much time are you spending at work to collect that money to live this way? What can you do to change things? Do you want to change things? Are you willing to do what's needed to make the change? Are you willing to struggle and suffer for a short period of time to change the overall circumstance? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. And a lot of times we just push it to the side, push it to the side. We don't ask. Everything is fine. Fridge has got food. There's liquor if I want to have a drink. The dog is fed. There's a roof over our head. The heat is on. Yeah, yeah, it's great. No problem. The credit card companies haven't called. I give them a little bit when I can. They leave me alone. One of the other conversations we got to look at is credit score. And here's a question to think about. And, if anybody wants to ask me about this, throughout the course of the week, uh, what's more important? Having money? Is it a lump of cash? Or having access to money, which is where your credit score comes into play? Because you can have a lump of cash, doesn't mean people are going to give you more cash. If you have a good credit score, people are going to give you money because you've learned to manage money. That's how the score gets good. This is step one in managing your money. It's adulting. It's something that we should do. Now, we're not necessarily taught how to do this in school. Some parents will attempt to teach us how to do it, but at what point in our life, right? And are they speaking to us in a way that we understand? Can we translate what they're saying, right? When I think back on my own life, uh, my dad tried to tell me about this my whole life. And I was like, whatever. It's fine. Never really gave it much thought. Now, was he explaining it in this manner? No. This, I think, is the easiest way for anybody to understand. And, if anybody is looking at this on the replay, even, and you have some questions or you want me to help you map this out, just let me know, right? I'm always down to help people do that stuff. It's not that big of a deal and really doesn't take that long. You got to understand where you are to know the change you're going to make. Well, let's look at some quick changes that we can go at from here, right? So we're left with $100. $100. So let's copy this over here. Let's put it over here. So changes have to be made. You want to change the circumstance. $100 left over isn't helping you at all, right? So I gave you the first thing. Let's move. Oops. Let's move this over here. It's the same size. All right. Whatever. Okay. Move to one of the banks that have zero banking fees. Well, don't worry about what we're going to do with this money. Let's see what we can share. Right? What we can save. I mean, here's a big one, and this is really hard for a lot of people, and I know that. Ditch the car. Right. Take that out as well. Cell phone. I know, and again, this is talking about Toronto, right? And from our Canada in general, you can get lower cell phone plans here to 50. You saved $25. You can ditch your cable. Internet, I'm not going to say ditch that because you need that. Gym, you can ditch your gym membership. You already have internet. Go on YouTube, follow a trainer. He'll show you what to do every day. Stop being lazy. Your streaming subscriptions, um, cut them down to the most used. You got to have some entertainment, or you're going to drive yourself stir crazy, right? So let's drop that down to 50. Came back 50, right? We pretty much got back $800 right here, right? Now, what we have to add in here is public transportation. So you ditch the car, you still got to get to work, still got to get around, go to public transportation. So I believe when I asked the question, it was around $100 for a monthly pass to be able to use the public transportation. So let's take 100 off of the car here. Still got 705 there. Let's go with the variables. What can we change? Um, I'm not going to say grocery because it's important what you put in your body. That's how you fuel yourself. Utilities, they got to stay, but it varies. Um, if you're drinking, take a break. Do a dry 3 months. Just 3 months. You can have a lot of impact in 3 months. Personal maintenance, we'll keep that. You got your dog or your cat or bird. Let's keep those. Fuel. No car, no fuel. You don't need to use the Uber. Again, 3 months. That's all you need to practice this for. You can change a lot of circumstances in there and drop that down half. Again, it's only 3 months. You got to understand why you're doing it. When you understand the why, it's easier to stick to it. So we just gained back $1,600 by making minor adjustments. $1,600 across 3 months. It's what? $4,800. Can that make an impact in something? Can that change some point of your circumstance? Can that change your path? And the other thing is, in those 3 months, you're going to learn a very different set of habits. Your habits are going to change. You can look at, well, if I have these credit card companies calling me, and we didn't put in any debt values, right? But I have an amount here that can go towards maybe clearing something out, maybe setting some sort of plan, some sort of structure in place to get them reduced, right? As I said, this is a whole other conversation. We're just looking at the cash. This is all the cash stuff. Maybe you can put something now over what it was. It was 46. Take $600, lock that in an emergency fund. Forget about that. That's there in case some unforeseen something happens. At least you have $600 there. Still 4 grand left. Really wasn't that complicated. We went over the whole thing in what, about a half an hour with me rambling on about various different things. I'm going to stop this screen so I can go back to all the other screens. There we go. Yeah. So there, super straightforward. Wasn't really that complicated to do. Anyone can do it. Most of us have access to Excel, right? And if you don't, piece of paper, calculator. Anybody says they don't have a calculator, you all have a phone. Every phone has a calculator on it. I think even the back in the day flip phones have a calculator on it. All you're doing is adding and subtracting. Look at the numbers, right? Do me a favor. Take some time this weekend. Take those bank statements for the past 3 months. Map it out. Group the items. Look at what you've done over the past 3 months. Just the past 3 months. Understand where you're sitting today, this weekend. Once you understand where you're sitting right now, take a moment. Take a moment with it. Pour yourself a drink, whatever you're gonna do. Sit back and think, okay, this is where I am. Now that I've done this exercise, now I understand how I got here, right? And think, well, okay, well, 3 months from now, where do I want to be? And then can I adjust anything to help me get there? That's how you want to look at it. Again, doing things that are crazy, large, when the steps are too big, the impacts become greater on your life, right? And when the impact is great, it takes a lot of discipline to stick to it. So I would always suggest small steps. Take a series of small steps. Time is passing regardless, right? It took you, well, we went with 35, and let's say you were adulting from, say, 20. So it took you 15 years to get to that point, right? You think you're going to change it like this? Nobody's Thanos. It's not going to happen like that. Understand where you are, create the plan, execute the plan, watch the changes happen. Let it go with time. Let time work with you, not against you. Time is going to pass regardless. And again, if the steps are too drastic, it's like a diet, right? If the diet is too restrictive, people won't stick to it. That's just human nature. It's very difficult if it's too restrictive. I can't, and when somebody's telling you about a diet, a eating plan, any one of those things, and it's you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. We're human beings. What do? We're constantly opposing it. The moment when you were a child and your mother said, "No, don't touch that," what's the first thing you did when they turn around? You went and touched it. That's what you did. Somebody tells you you can't have this, you can't have this. All of a sudden, you start seeing cake everywhere. You want to eat it, right? Same concept. Pay attention to pay attention to what's coming in. Understand where it's going out and why it's going out. Do that exercise this weekend, the last 3 months. Just the last 3 months. You want to even do the last month. If after you do the last month, you're like, wow, I never realized that. Do the month before that. By the time you finish that one, you'll definitely want to do the third because now you're going to be able to see the trend. You're going to see what the common practice is. You'll know what the common values are. Like you can gauge what your utilities are over 3 months. It might hover, you know, plus or minus a few bucks. You want to take the average amount. That's just one thing, right? Same thing with your fuel. Maybe the weather was bad. You didn't really drive around that much. There was nowhere to go. The world is opening up again. People are going to be out on the streets driving around. And the way construction's going, your car's running a lot longer just to get around the city. It doesn't always have to be a struggle. If it's a struggle right now, don't worry. You can get through it. It doesn't have to be a struggle. There's no shame in getting into some sort of financial issue. It happens. It happens to the best of us, right? Been there. I understand exactly what it's like. I remember clearly what it's like to be like, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How is it possible? And not see any way out of the mess that I'm in. Plan. It's all about the plan. I always tell you guys, it's all about the plan. The clearer you can see it in your mind, the easier it becomes to plan. And it's difficult to do it on your own. Find people to talk to that can help you with these things, right? But pride is a big thing. Shame is a big thing, right? Nobody cares. You're struggling on your own. You're gonna do. Keep digging a hole, digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper because you're afraid to ask for some help. If you're concerned that people are gonna judge you, talk to an absolute stranger about it. You can find them all over the place. Just look. That way you can share all the information you want. They don't know you, they don't know the people around you. They ain't got nobody to talk your business to. But understand where you are. Make the change. Get to a better position. Get to a better place. You owe it to yourself to do it, right? There's a couple pieces in that spreadsheet that we didn't really go into, and maybe we'll save that for other days. I'll do it based on what the feedback comes from this one is is there's that's your income. That's that one. The other piece of that is the debt, right? Whatever the debts are. And then the third part of that is your credit management. So that's not to do with anything to do with the debt. That's credit management and understanding your credit scores and the importance of having good credit. Where you live, having good credit is very important. And if you don't know why, that's a whole other conversation you need to have with somebody. It's important in this day and age. But again, different topics. So let's just stick with the budgeting. Thanks for taking the time to sit in with me on the live. If you're watching on the replay, again, thanks for checking it out. As usual, hit me up with any questions throughout the course of the week. Um, I like talking to you guys when you're asking me questions about these and other stuff, and the suggested topics for the next one. I like when it's interactive. Last week I talked about, you know, finding that balance of not always doing, you know, let's fix something, and have that stupidity Saturday sort of concept. But I didn't end up doing it last Saturday because I was tied up doing other things. But I got something else I thought about the other day, and I'm going to be mapping that one out for Saturdays. So Saturdays won't be anything about this. I want to create a panel. So I want a consistent group of people to be on a panel for discussions. So anybody watching this, if you're interested in being a part of that, just get at me and we can have a quick chat about it. Until then, guys, go pour yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack, pat yourself on the back. You made it through another week. Lucky for you, there's another one coming real soon. Time is going to change tomorrow night. You're going to have more daylight. Days are going to seem longer. What are you going to do with all that time? Until next week, guys, enjoy, and I will talk to you soon. I'm going to end this one first. There we go. And now we're going to end this one here.